Hey guys, it's never been as easy as it is now to expand to Amazon Japan. Today we're going to give you the blueprint on Amazon Japan ads, how to get started running ads profitably on Amazon Japan, even if you don't speak Japanese. Today I have a special guest, my good friend Shinjin Kahler. How's it going, man? Welcome, welcome.
How's it going, Gary? Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, so Shinjin, where are you joining us from today?
I'm joining you guys from Tokyo, Japan. So a true local over here. Hopefully, I can share some information on how you can be successful on Amazon Japan and specifically growing your business by using PPC ads.
Excellent. So, what's unique about Shinjin is he's helped Amazon brands, he's managed ads both on the US side as well as the Japan side. So, he has a balanced view of the different landscapes, and he's consulted for a number of e-commerce brands, helping them with Japan market entry. And he's been doing this for quite a while. He's been doing this, I mean, don't let his young face fool you. He's been doing this since 2017. So, today we're going to walk you through how to get started with your ads selling in Japan if you don't speak Japanese, how you should prepare for Amazon Japan in terms of PPC strategy, what are the ad types that are working well now, how you should target keywords, how do you find new keywords, and even he's going to break down some AI tools that are out there that didn't exist before. And we're not talking about Google Translate because we know how crappy the results were before, but there's like a lot new AI tools that we can dive into there. So, Shinjin, as we're getting into this, what do you think? I mean, for sellers expanding into Japan, and you've helped a lot of sellers. I mean, what's like the biggest difference between Amazon Japan ads and Amazon US?
Yeah, well, like aside from just the size of the marketplace in general, like I think it's important to really boil it down, like into or not like think about it at a larger scale, right? Like, what's the difference between Japan's e-commerce, like Japanese consumers, how do they behave differently than US consumers, European consumers? Because, like, in my opinion, Japan's one of those regions that just kind of is on its own, right? It behaves
Hmm.
very differently relative to the Western world. So understanding that is a really big deal. And so, not just within PPC ads and how shoppers behave when they engage with ads, but things from SEO management, like content, making sure that it's optimized so that your pictures are all prepared, localized, video content, if you're that far into your business and want to make a difference in Japan. Those are very important things to keep in mind so
Hmm.
that, like, yes, you are localizing so that you fit into the culture, but also you're making sure that your conversion rates are high once people land on your PDPs. Because you're paying for so much money, like when it comes to ads, whether it be Amazon ads, Facebook ads, Meta ads, Google ads, to drive traffic into Amazon,
Hmm.
but you don't want to be wasting that by having a low conversion PDP. So
Yeah.
that is like baseline number one in Japan. And when it comes to the differences in the US versus Japan, like there are a lot of localization tactics that need to be considered, where how Japanese consumers react very differently to, like, let's say US consumers. Like, one thing that's really important to consider here in Japan is that Japanese consumers really look to images that are very condensed with information to get as
Yes.
much knowledge about products that they can. Whereas when you look at US A plus content image galleries, they're very much lifestyle oriented, very little text on it. They're really trying to portray a broad message. But
Yeah.
once you look at a Japanese PDP, it's just condensed with so much detailed information that I think it can overwhelm US shoppers. And
Yeah.
that's also, relatable in the ad world too. Display ads, they're not pretty looking. They're very much text heavy, largely written, time sale right now. Come look at these products, all very, mentioned in detail.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and all
those
the
are,
specifications, like the measurements, like like waterproof and all of the features. Literally, like every single one of them, they're like called out on the actual picture in Japan, whereas the US is like more sparse, right? It's more like clean and minimalist. So if you were a US brand that was not as familiar with this this style of images in Japan? Like how would you adjust, or how would you try to localize this?
Best way to localize is to look around, right? See what other people are doing. So
Hmm.
like if you're in a category that has, if it's very competitive, then look at the leaders in the category and what kind of content that they're making, and maybe try to focus that on some of the local sellers, right? What kind of images are these people using? Um, uh, one thing that's definitely important in localizing is making sure that your models, the people that you have in your pictures, they should be Japanese, or if anything, they should be Asian is one thing that I would definitely say is like an important factor in making sure that you're getting as much engagement out of the traffic that you're getting into your
Yeah,
PDPs.
yeah, yeah.
Look at what the people are doing over here, and like again, AI is making extreme progressions in recent years, like relative to two
Hmm.
to 3 years ago.
Hmm.
So that could be your best friend too, right? Just let it know what you're trying to sell. Ask it what kind of things that you should keep in mind when you localize your content, and you get some pretty insightful answers there.
Yeah. What type of AI tools are you using, or are using your clients using to create this content?
So I use just standard LLMs, Gemini, ChatGPT. Like especially when I want some second opinion on something, I would prompt it to just give me feedback, stay as
Okay.
objective as possible.
Okay. Wait. Let's focus on, like, let's say the images and like the models first. Like, are would you use AI to create like the lifestyle images with like a Japanese model in a situation using this product?
I guess you could. Like I personally don't, since I've kind of, switched my career to be more on like the SaaS side of Amazon ads instead of an
Yeah,
agency. So
yeah.
I don't.
But I mean, like with the brands that you work with, are they doing that, or like how are they localizing the models? Are they like hiring real models and just like taking photos the old-fashioned way?
So that really depends on the size of the brand. So like larger
Hmm.
brands, like yes, they're localizing using real models. But
Okay.
smaller brands, I see them using AI. Like especially if I'm just on Instagram or on
Yeah.
social media, I do
Yeah.
see a lot of AI generated content.
Yeah.
Now, as a
Yeah.
consumer, am I impressed? No, it's typically AI. Like it's very
Yeah.
obviously AI.
Yeah.
So that kind of spills the beans on like how local those brands are, I believe,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
maybe they're just trying to get by without investing much. That's just
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
personal opinion, but
Yeah, yeah.
I think
I've actually tested this with one of the products that I'm launching in Japan, and it's like a jewelry product. And I was able to use VO3 from Google Gemini to create like super realistic Japanese model, like with wearing the jewelry, and then like you, I don't know, like maybe 50-50 you can tell if it's AI or not. I mean, with the technology at its level, and it's just like it's groundbreaking like every couple months. It's like something new just pops out of nowhere. So I would suggest that you can actually prompt, like, using VO3, you can actually upload your product, like the image of your product, and then you can say like, put together like, put this on a Japanese model, age 30, very fair complexion, in a cafe in downtown Tokyo, right? And then it'll do it. I mean, it
yeah,
might not be perfect the first time around, but it can do it pretty close, right? If you're just trying to get set up. Obviously, if you have a larger budget, I mean, definitely hire local models, but if you want to get started, I feel that would be the MVP type way to do that. So okay,
yeah,
so we yeah,
bro, real quick, better than nothing. That's for sure. And again, look at what your competitors are doing, and then
yeah,
try to prompt
yeah,
it as accurately as you can, and
yeah,
use as much
yeah,
data as you can in your prompts too. Like it's
yeah,
great to copy your competitors,
yeah.
but maybe based on your product and how it's been selling, you're gonna find some localized insights. It'll take a little bit of time because we can talk about this a little further later. You could use AMC to get these insights and
Mm,
actually see who your customers are based on purchases that you're already getting. And you
interesting.
may find that the characteristics of people, the demographics of people buying your products in Japan or other regions are very different from what people in the US behave or who they actually are.
Okay, I want to get into that in a minute because let's go from like high level first. So like the brand is they're they've decided to enter Japan. How would you prepare, let's say, your PPC Amazon Japan strategy?
Right. I think what people struggle with the most when advertising in Japan is what keywords should I be targeting? How do I effectively set targets so that I'm reaching the right shopper? And again, going back to AI, that is making it so much easier to make effective targeting strategies in a region like Japan where language tends to be a big barrier. Amazon's advertising console, obviously, you could use it in any language, so it makes it very easy to navigate, even in Japan. But when it comes to targets, what I used to do back in 2017, 2019 was, I used to see people who have been running campaigns who cannot speak English by just using Google Translate. And yes, some of those keywords were horrible. What I would suggest right now is what you could do is just collect some product detail pages of some of your competitors who are very effective in winning organic placements, who already have a strong track record of selling on Amazon, and then just paste those links into the LLM of your choice. And then from there, you could just ask it. Like it's pretty smart. Like even with advertising strategy suggestions and stuff. So just say, here's 20 products similar to what I'm selling. I need to create a sponsored ad strategy that is going to grow my sales by blah blah blah. And then tell it what you want to do: competitor targeting, just non-branded keyword strategy, and then just have it make you some keyword lists. I've done this in the past just to test it out, and it works. So
Hmm.
from there, throw that into your campaigns, and then just optimize it as you go. Like negating keywords, for example, that might be a challenge because you don't know what you're actually negating. So that's something that you can rely on other tools, right? And maybe we could talk about that later because the company I work for, we have a very strong AI optimization solution.
Hmm.
So even
Hmm.
if you're running campaigns in a different language, you can automatically negate keywords. It'll automatically add new keywords for you. It just makes optimization so much easier. So the initial setup is, still relatively doable, but the ongoing optimization is something that maybe you can rely on like a different tool.
So with the initial keywords to target, you're saying that you can actually take your competitors on Amazon Japan. So if you're not sure at first, you can copy those PDPs and put them into the LLM to get the initial keyword list. I like that. So that's one takeaway, guys, that you could do immediately using. Is there any LLM that you would recommend, Shinjin, to do this for Japan?
A subscription to ChatGPT, so that's just what I've been using. I canceled my Gemini, so I don't use that anymore.
Okay.
But that works just perfectly fine.
Okay. So GPT-5, right? Like the latest version. Okay.
I like 4 a little better because I feel like 5 has just been a little less consistent with following my prompts over a longer period of time. So
Mm,
I
interesting.
still use 4.0, but
Okay.
mm.
Okay. That's cool. That's cool. All right. So those would be like the target keywords, right? What about new keywords? Like let's say you're already running campaigns. How do you find new keywords for Japan?
So if you want to be finding new keywords without being able to speak Japanese, is like any other strategy, you're going to be looking at your search terms reports. So if you're running phrase match keywords, broad match keywords within your campaigns, you're going to see a list of keywords that those match types picked up. So from there, what you can do is maybe you can add a list, just download that list of keywords, and you could throw that into, like, let's say ChatGPT, and prompt it like, within this keyword list there are keywords that I have yet to add into my campaigns. I want it to still be very relevant to the product I'm selling, and then just maybe paste your PDP into the prompt as well. Suggest keywords that are not yet in my campaign that I should be adding so that I can grow my sales, I can drive more traffic to my PDPs. Like that's a perfectly fine prompt to be able to harvest new keywords. Again,
Nice. Hmm.
um, I work for a company called Xnerda. Shout out.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, we have an automation tool that allows AI to just completely pick up new targets based on data downloaded from Amazon on an hourly basis. So
Mm.
that's, one thing that can be effective is to use tools.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you guys are interested in Xnerd, check them out. We'll put the link up below in the show notes. So we'll talk a little bit more about Xnerd at the end. All right. Okay, so we talked about finding new keywords. What other AI tools are there out there that you would recommend besides ChatGPT, obviously?
For strategy,
Hmm.
I haven't really expanded out to that extent myself, just personally because
Okay.
I speak the language. But like,
Okay.
I do use those LLMs when when I'm trying to save time, right? I use that
Hmm.
on my own when I'm trying to save time. So as
Can you give
somebody,
an example? Like, how are you saving time?
like for example, if I have a keyword list that has tens of thousands of words, and I have a keyword list that um, I have an existing keyword list and I have search results. I just paste what's in my keyword list right now. I just feed it the new search terms reports instead of going one by one to see what keywords I can add into my campaigns. It just spits out maybe 30 or 40 keywords that I can include into my campaigns, especially for
Mm,
what strategy I'm trying to run it for. Because I'm not going to go into each of those campaigns and individually remove keywords that include competitor targets. That's a bunch of filtering that needs to take place on an Excel sheet. Like filter out competitor A keywords, filter out competitor B keywords. Um, so just feed it into the LLM, ChatGPT, and then prompt it. I just want to find non-branded keywords that relate to, like, let's say, a cup, and then it just gets you 30 or 40 keywords out of that list.
okay, excellent. All right. And then looking at Japan, what ad types are performing well right now?
I'd say the most commonly used ad types obviously is sponsored products. That's, I think, consistent amongst all the different regions. Sponsored brand video, they still have a relatively cheap cost per click compared to other regions. I think Japan is, like, I'm seeing that CPCs are very low compared to other regions.
Mhm.
Relative to the EU, definitely the US, it's much cheaper. So
Like
it's
how much cheaper compared to the US?
I don't have the exact number, but like I've seen categories that CPCs are like a third of what you'd be seeing in the US. So
Really? Oh,
in that sense, you could still make a difference with effective, bidding. So if you want to consistently be winning top of search placements, then obviously you're gonna have to pay a little more. But that's still not as much as you have to be paying in the US.
right, right. So brands could be pleasantly surprised when they expand to Japan with the amount of CPCs that they're paying. It could be significantly less, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. I heard that recently, after all the tariffs, there's a lot more Chinese sellers spending a lot more money on PPC in Japan, on Amazon Japan. What are you seeing? I'm curious.
I don't know after the tariffs. That's not something that I'm out of the front lines from advertising management at the
Okay, but
moment.
I mean, like, let's just say, this year, like, let's say from spring until, Q3, where we are right now. Like, are you seeing an uptick in ad spend or CPP?
Yeah, like I see an upward trend just in like a focus on the Japanese marketplace, right, from
Mm,
Chinese sellers. That's something
mm,
that I've heard of
okay,
as tick year over year. So that's
okay.
a positive thing. And just in general, like I'd say from 2021, 2022, there's been a significant uptick, especially in like consumer electronics categories, household items that see an enormous uptick in Chinese sellers.
Yeah.
Um, the market is becoming very um, saturated in a lot of categories with Chinese sellers with low price
Mm,
points.
mm,
To be honest, it's hurting some of the local sellers.
yeah.
Good for
Yeah.
competition, good for us consumers because we have more
Yeah.
options.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's made a lot of advertisers struggle too because they're not going to be able to spend as much if they're not selling as much.
Yeah, yeah. So even though Japan has less competition than obviously the US and other smaller marketplaces like, Canada, but it sounds like some of the doors are starting to close, so to speak, right? Because the markets are getting saturated. You're seeing a lot of Chinese sellers in electronics, households, like what else are you seeing? Other categories, a lot of Chinese sellers entering.
Those are the two categories that I've seen an uptick in. So I don't want to speak to other categories like I know,
Okay.
I
Okay.
know that there's an uptick. But yeah, those
Okay.
those are the
So
categories that I've experienced seeing an uptick.
yeah, I mean, so, I've been talking about selling on Amazon Japan for a number of years now, and even now, there's still very few people that are listening. So the doors are not closed yet, but they're starting to close because the Chinese sellers are catching on. I'm not discriminating against anybody, but I'm just saying most Chinese sellers, they come in with price, competing on price, right? And then a lot of them have a ton of reviews. So you don't get in right now. You don't like take that market, then the door may be closing before it's too late. I'm just saying that, PSA, so to speak.
Yeah,
Okay.
and
What if, yeah.
there's there's always a lot of different options, and I think there's so much data to be using right now to successfully optimize your campaigns, to use the insights that you're getting from some of Amazon's tools from third party tools to be able
Hmm.
to successfully execute on your existing sponsored ad strategy. Those are sections like EMC, right? Leveraging other tools to be able to find insights that you can't otherwise in the native console. Like those are things that advertisers should definitely be doing. Like I work
Mm.
for Xcerta, but
Hmm.
up until maybe 2 years ago or so, a year ago, I didn't believe in automated advertising solutions. It just never really worked. I would much rather have managed it manually because algorithms when campaigns are automated, I just lose control of what I can do. But I'm finding that a lot of tools are becoming more successful at being able to manage your campaigns effectively using automation because of some of the improvements that we've been seeing in the AI world over the past couple years.
Mm.
So that's something that I'm starting to really see a value in compared to some of the experiences that I've had in the past 2 years.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I
So
remember having this conversation with you, Shinjin, a couple years ago, and you were not, you were not on board with AI, but now it sounds like, the tides have shifted, right? I mean, with
it's
AI
it's
and
gotten it's gotten
yeah,
better to the point where like a lot of advertisers can find efficiencies, I think.
right, right.
And so tools are constantly being improved, developed,
Yep.
and
Okay.
if people are using that in the marketplace, you shouldn't be falling behind. You should get on that so that you're beating the people that are already relying on technology.
Absolutely. Okay. So let's shift gears a little bit to talk about some of the common mistakes you're seeing sellers make when they enter Japan, when it comes to advertising. What would you say are the mistakes that sellers need to be aware of?
I think that common mistakes that I see are advertisers who just spend money without intention. And I think, if you can't speak the language, that's just kind of, you're afraid, worried that maybe the targets that you're setting aren't the best targets that you could be setting. And so then you spend maybe about 3-4 grand a month and you're not getting that much impression share. Your ROAS is like a 2 to 1, maybe a 1.5 to 1. And then you just kind of give up. Like once you're expanding into the region, I think there needs to be a marketing budget where you're really using the driving traffic to your PDPs, not just trickling it, into your PDPs, but like seriously drive a lot of traffic, increase your conversion rates, increase the number of conversions that you're getting so that you can really activate the Amazon flywheel, so that you're increasing your organic ranking, you're seeing your product appear much easier on sponsored ad placements, because 1 foot in, 1 foot out is just a waste of money. So you're either all in or just don't do it, is my personal opinion that I see as a mistake people make a lot.
Yeah, yeah, that's great advice. Okay, excellent. Sinjin, what? if people want to connect to you, what's the best way to learn more? And what about Xnerda? Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, best way to connect with me is on LinkedIn.
Hmm.
And so I'm there. Gary, maybe you could put that in the video description so that people
Yep.
can find me.
We'll put
But
that below in the show notes. Yep. Hmm.
yeah, for sure. And yeah, my little bit about my background. So I've been in the, like Gary said in the beginning, I've been in the advertising industry for Amazon for about 9 years now. I've hopped around different agencies, and most recently I joined Xnerd. And so, like we were talking about earlier, I was never really sold on the concept of automation, rule-based automation, because at the end of the day, they're just such strict rules that you set that, depending on the trends of the market, you're not necessarily going to see your campaigns perform very well. Automated keyword harvesting is not always effective because you see, like, I like to advertise with intention. So you don't necessarily see branded keywords being added to the branded campaigns. I don't want competitor targeting keywords being added to my non-branded campaigns. So that was something that was always hard for me to control using automation, but Xnerda was the first tool that I used and tested that really managed that successfully. I was able to make sure that I was able to run my campaigns with intention. And one of the features that we have in the tool is a AI copilot feature. So you're managing your ads with AI, and AI is using all these signals that is collected from Amazon to execute, make changes. But you can also select what kind of changes you allow it to make versus what kind of changes you want it to avoid. So you can really advertise it with intention while still leveraging the capacity of AI. You know, I don't want to work 24/7, but AI is looking at my campaigns 24/7. So that's
Hmm.
something that I really had a great experience with using Xnerda. So, I had the pleasure of being able to join and lead our expansion into Japan at the moment. So, yeah, we're local in Japan, and we're already helping customers out here improve their advertising. Tool usage in Japan is very low. So, that's one of the doors that aren't closing yet. Really, people are starting to use technology, ad tech, as a way of optimizing their campaigns. So if you're able to jump into the region and use, some of the tools that are out there, use Xnerda, then you can really efficiently manage your ads with all these people that are manually adjusting their campaigns.
Interesting. And what type of brands does Xnerta usually work with? Is there like a minimum, in terms of ad spend, or what does it look like?
Like we manage a variety of clients. In Japan at the moment, we're largely looking at SMB. We have a couple enterprise level clients. In the US, it's a great variety as well. So we specialize in a lot of industries, and we're able to service a lot of clients who
Mhm.
have different spend levels because,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, we're a SaaS tool. So it's essentially the advertiser that's going to be leveraging our tool to be able to manage their campaigns effectively. So
Okay. 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 Excellent. And then, sorry, I should have asked more about your background for people that are just meeting you for the first time. So, can you tell people a little bit more about your background? I know that you grew up in Japan. You're fully bilingual, bicultural, Japanese and English, right? Do you want to just share a little bit more, just so people
yeah,
know
for
you?
sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. So I grew up in Japan. And so I lived here until I was 18. And then I went to the US for college, and I lived there. I lived in California for about 7 years, where I joined a advertising agency called Channel Bakers. We were founded, I believe, in 2015, and I joined in 2017, and I was there until 2024. So it's been, I was there for a very long time, and had the pleasure of learning the ins and outs of Amazon advertising. And we manage sponsored ads, Amazon DSP. So I had clients who would just run sponsored ads and try to grow their business, and lower funnel, mid funnel ads, to enterprise level clients who would run Prime Video ads along with sponsored ads. Having that experience and being able to manage a lot of different brands who were very much in different like situ- states of their brand life cycle has taught me a lot about how you grow a brand on Amazon using ads, and then how you maintain that success over time is something that I'm really happy to have the experience of.
Right. Excellent. So let's close this out with a lightning round, some rapid fire questions. Shinjin, are you
Sure.
ready?
Let's go.
Okay, so on a personal level, Shinjin, what do you do to stay ahead?
On a personal level,
Yeah.
I just make sure that I'm reading articles from like some of my partners and what industry leading companies are doing. They share a lot of webinars and articles, especially from some of the senior executives, so that I can have a good understanding of what agencies are doing in Japan, because a lot of them are actually my, audience when it comes to sales. So
Mm,
understanding what they do, what their interests are in, keeps me ahead of, how do I change my sales strategy? How do I stay
mm,
ahead with them so that I'm speaking their
mm.
language?
So who would you follow? So that I'm just curious. In Japan, who do you follow?
I follow what all the big guys are doing over here. Dentsu, Hakuhodo, Cyber Agent. What are those guys doing when it comes to Amazon advertising? Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Favorite book or podcast you would recommend?
Whose favorite book? I don't know if I've read a book in like the past 2 or 3 years, to be very honest with you. I'm a very much streaming TV type of guy. So
Okay.
I'm engaging with Prime Video ads while I enjoy Prime Video.
Okay, in the name of market research. Okay, Prime Video, what are you watching? I'm curious.
On Prime Video,
Yeah.
very, very embarrassingly, like The Bachelor. I have friends that are very into it, so I'm just
Okay.
kind of watching it with them.
Is that the Japanese version or is it the US version?
Like all the different regions, man. I don't know.
Okay.
I just enjoy it because my friends enjoy it.
Okay, okay. You got to keep up with pop culture. All
That's
right.
right.
And last question. I'm all about the 80/20 rule. So you were to distill down everything that we covered today about advertising on Amazon Japan, what would be the number one recommendation you'd leave to sellers out there?
Number one recommendation, make sure that your PDPs are localized. That is 100%. Before you could do anything, that is what you need. Because with a terrible PDP, you can run as many ads as you want, but no one's going to buy the product. So
Hmm.
don't waste your money if your PDP is not up to date.
Great advice. Don't waste your money unless your PDP is up to date. Jen, thank you so much for coming on today. I learned a lot. I'm sure everyone else did too. So, for those of you guys that watch this, I mean, this is super important when it comes to ads. And we also have another training all about selling on Amazon Japan, like the whole picture. So, we're going to link that up in at the end of this video. So, make sure you see that because this is only one part of the puzzle. All right. So, thanks again, guys, for joining us. We'll see you there at the next video. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Thanks, Gary.